All right, welcome back, Recliner Sports Reporters, to Knockout Bets podcast. It's good to be back. There was a little bit of a break in the fights for the month of December, but
We took
UFC,
some time off before that just for
but
life stuff. We've been gone for a minute.
but UFC is back, and so are we.
Oh, yeah.
And man, I am super pumped to be back, and I'm glad the UFC fight cards are back. It feels. I know we were just talking about it. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I definitely have been up a couple units these last couple weeks, and I don't know if that means I'm terrible at betting UFC or if that's just the way it is. But either way, I'm so excited to be able to on Saturday turn on the TV and know that we are going to be watching the UFC get back in action. Um,
Yeah. Well, and this seems like, I'm totally with you. I'm super pumped for the fights to be back. We've had a month off for the holidays and this and that. Um, this is kind of the appetizer to UFC 283 coming up a week from Saturday. Um, but I was just telling you as we were talking when we were getting set up here, the more I dig into this card, the more interesting it is. Like you look at it on the surface and you see a whole bunch of minus 700, minus 900 favorites. And then, look a little further, you see some minus 350 favorites. There's some chalky bets, but there's some fun fights, especially the all four of the highlighted ones that we picked to look into this for this show. I'm very, very excited about, and there are some interesting angles on these fights and on some other ones too. Just a quick thing, and I'll shout this out at the end too. But to start off with, we set up a betmma.tips account. It's recliner_report, and my bets for UFC fights, for any type of MMA, it's mostly going to be UFC. I might get into a little Bellator, a little this and that. Will be posted there as soon as I click on the app on DraftKings, FanDuel, MGM, whatever, and send the bet. The next thing I'm going to do is go put those bets up there. So they'll be put in immediately when I place them. So please go give us a follow there. That way you'll be able to get those bets right away, because I'll post them on Twitter usually, and obviously we do this show, but we're usually doing this show Thursday night, and it's not published oftentimes until Friday. I'm not usually putting my bets on Twitter until usually Saturday, once I kind of have everything
well,
all
we do
totaled
have a
up. So
couple.
that's
You do have a couple in there now, right now,
Oh,
and
I do
yep.
have a handful of them in there right now. That's probably most of, I doubt that I'm going to put very much. I mean, one of them we'll talk about as we get into these breakdowns. I doubt that I'm going to put very much more. I think most of them are in there already. And I try to get a lot of them in there. I mean, I have bets for UFC 283 already. So sometimes I'm looking ahead a week or two even, and those bets will go in there. But even for the week coming up, I try to get a lot of bets in on like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, to get ahead of line movement mostly.
Yeah, and there's a couple of reasons why we wait so late in the week. I mean, you get last minute fight cancellations. You know, the UFC is.
Right. We're
I mean,
not
you
talking
get
about Kelvin Gastelum on
yeah,
this show like a
yeah,
lot of
right.
people who went earlier in the week did.
Yeah, they already put out. Yeah, right. But yeah, and then also, not just Bet MMA, but also if you are new to sports gambling, we have also proud to announce that we have officially partnered with BetUS. So if you go over to betus.com, or you click in the link below in the description or in the comments, and use our promo code JOIN125, you will get 125% match with whatever
Yeah.
you put in, and we would love to have you join us over there. They
So do
have
you need to use our link? That joint and 125 code, I think, is just generic. But if you click our link, you get not only the 125% match, you also get $50 in free play. So you get kind of two awesome bonuses at the same time.
and you get $25 on their online casino chips too, because they do have online casino, roulette, blackjack, slots, all that stuff. BetUS that has fast payouts, mobile betting, and everyone's favorite, live betting, because we all love live betting. So
Oh,
check.
I so want to bet. We're not going to talk about this fight. So since you brought up live betting, I just want to throw it out there. If Priscilla Cachoeira, the first fight of 2023, the first fight on the undercard, if she survives round one, and especially if she survives it and loses it, and you can get her around like plus 500 after the first round, I'm not going to say I'm slamming that. I'm going to sprinkle it, but that's a bet that I really like live spot that I'm eyeing for this card coming up.
Yeah, she comes alive. She comes alive when it starts getting dark out there. When it starts heading to deep waters, for sure. I would hit that too at plus 500. All right. Well, this is a different fight than what everyone was expecting. This was supposed to be Imavov versus Gastelum, but there was an injury to Gastelum, and so now I think we have an even better fight, even
I'm
crazier
with you.
fight.
I like this more.
And I'm super pumped. So we have our first fight night of 2023, and it is a UFC fight night, so it will be free over on ESPN. We have Sean Strickland versus Nasruddin Imavov. I am super pumped about this one. Sean Strickland's an entertainer every time he steps into the ring, so this is going to be a great card. The first fights we're going to talk about, though, we're going to talk about Claudio Ribeiro, who's coming in at 10-2 against Abdul Razak Alhassan. He's coming in at 11-5. Right now, it's looking like Abdul is the slight favorite at minus 115. Andrew, how are you going to see this one playing out?
Yeah, so we were talking about this fight a little bit before we came on here. You mentioned Ribeiro's got 10 knockouts in his
10
10 wins.
knockouts, 10 wins by 10 knockouts.
Right.
But I did tell
But
you,
then
you
you
are
got to
going to
look at,
convince me why I'm wrong on this one.
well, so that's where we're going. So to give it up before doing the breakdown, I have not put in a bet yet, but I'm leaning towards putting a bet in on Alhassan. So Ribeiro, like you mentioned, 10 wins, 10 knockouts. But look at the record of some of the guys he's knocked out. So if you go way back, and we're not even talking way back, but we're talking the beginning of his career, which is 5 years ago. He's knocking out. He's got three guys that are 0-1, and then mix in a guy that's 5-1. All right, whatever. 9-7, 8-3. Okay, 8-3 is decent at that point in your career. 2-0, 8-6, and then before his Contender Series fight, he wins against a guy who's 24-20, in not all that impressive fashion. The guy retired in the fifth round because he just totally gassed out. But it was a pretty close fight with a guy who's 24-20. Then he goes on the Contender Series, wipes the guy out in stylish fashion in 25 seconds. So yes, it's a flashy, exciting knockout, but you don't really see a whole lot of his skill set in 25 seconds. He did what he needed to do. He got the UFC contract. He got a highlight. He landed the big shot, but you didn't see his cardio, his wrestling, his full skill set on display in that fight. Or in many of the previous ones, because he's knocking guys out in the first round. He also, if you look at him on tape, he throws hooks. He does not throw straight shots, really. He has big, powerful hooks, but they're definitely looping shots. He's not throwing straight punches. He does come forward like a wild man, and he's got a ton of quick finishes. So despite what I might say about the quality of the opponents, if you're doing it time after time after time after time, that counts for something, certainly. Alhassan, I mean, this is just really great matchmaking. This is two knockout artists, guys that are coming to put you away in the first round. The under 1.5 for this fight is minus 240. These are both first round knockout artist type guys. Alhassan definitely is the more technical of the two guys with his shots. He definitely has better striking defense. He has judo in his back pocket. He's a really good um, judo player, and we may or may not see that come out because he does like to get into kickboxing matches and throw a lot. But we did see him go to the grappling a little bit in his last fight against Joaquin Buckley, get the takedowns. He was also taken down a couple times himself. But you saw a fight when you had Alhassan and Buckley in Alhassan's last fight, a fight set up similar to this one, set up for fireworks, set up for under 1.5, set up for somebody to be knocked out. And we saw that fight ultimately go all 3 rounds. And where my bet also is leaning in this one, you can get over 1.5 at plus 180. You rarely see that. Yes, this is set up for somebody to get knocked out under 2 minutes, probably. That's a very distinct possibility, but that plus 180 number on over 1.5, I'm kind of liking that. I haven't bet that yet. I'm thinking that number might even get bigger. You know, if you can get plus 200 or higher on the over 1.5, that would definitely be something I would look at. I think Alhassan, if he fights a smart game plan, is definitely going to try to use his striking defense to get Ribeiro to tire out by throwing those big, heavy looping shots that he throws without landing. He may also work the takedowns and the judo and the wrestling a little bit. And I think there's a better than the odds say chance of this one going over 1.5. Also, you said Alhassan was a slight favorite. The lines that I'm seeing for the most part have him as a slight underdog around minus 105. I would love to get Alhassan at plus money, even if it's plus 100 even money. That's kind of what I'm waiting for, hoping I can
Yeah,
get that.
On ESPN right now is showing Alhassan as minus 115. So,
Got you.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking on best fight odds and seeing DraftKings MGM have minus 105 on Alhassan. So anyway, slice it, it's pretty much a pick 'em coin flip. But I'm definitely have not bet either of these yet. Don't think I'll bet heavy units on either one of the ways that I'm leaning, but I'm leaning Alhassan and I'm leaning actually even more so just because I like the number. If I can get plus 200 or higher on the over 1.5, I think I may sprinkle a little on that as well.
Yeah.
Did I talk you into it?
No. And I'll tell you why. I don't think, one, I agree with you 100%. And I think this is why the line is where it's at, why it's so close. The fact that one book is showing Alhassan as a favorite, you're seeing odds as
It's
the
pretty much a
underdog.
pick 'em.
It's a pick 'em. But as we always say, it's the story, right? So he is a Dana White Contender Series guy. Not that this is how it always plays out, but I just think Dana White Contender Series guy. Dana White knows what he's doing. He's giving contracts. He wants to see people who come off the series. There's a good story there. I don't think that this is one of those ones. So usually you see like the Raul's, the Rosas fight. You knew that was an easy one for him to come into. You knew that was the right easy welcome to. I don't think this is an easy welcome, but I hate betting against that storyline. And again, although the level of competition not as high, 10 wins, 10 knockouts, that's impressive. And in the fashion that he's doing them, how quickly he does them. This fight, it'll be interesting to see what happens if this fight goes into the later rounds. I do think there's a lot of value on that over, especially if it's going to stay there. But I could see this thing ending in the first round.
It could end in the first minute. I mean,
first minute,
this could be a 30-second fight.
So
with either guy winning.
So I'm definitely gonna I'm definitely gonna wait until the day of to see where this line kind of settles at. But what I probably, and again, I not getting odds on it yet. I don't know if you have them in front of you, but I think a smart bet for me would be Ribeiro by knockout. Just because, I mean, he's already had 10 of them. I think, all those statistics would say then that, well, he's not going to knock him out and this thing should go the distance, or
You're
he's going to get knocked out.
getting between +110, +125 is the best line I'm seeing.
Yeah, so that's you gotta love plus money. That's a little bit better than if he's going to be going in as a favorite, or it's still even minus what I'm seeing at -105. I still think that there's value there because it's essentially you're winning your money back. But yeah,
more likely than not, one of these guys wins by knockout.
what's the odds
Kind of
for
a question of which guy
fight to
is.
win by finish? I bet that's what, like -300.
Oh, fight to not go the distance. Well, you're looking at -240 for under 1.5. Under 2.5 is -500. I mean, it's I'm not quickly finding fight doesn't go the distance, but I mean, you're looking at -500 for under 2.5.
Yeah. That might be another good one to live line if that comes out of the first round. There should be some that probably could be something to keep. God, I love live line betting. It's so fun.
Yeah. I'd look at Alhassan if he just survives the first round too.
100%. All right. Well, that is our first picks. So it's looking like we're going head to head on this one. Again, I think all the right things of why Alhassan should win. I look at the story of Dana White Contender Series. And again, it doesn't always play out like that, but more times than not, it does. And then again, 10 wins, 10 knockouts.
Sometimes the Contender Series guys get set up. Sometimes they're either like wide-eyed by the lights. Sometimes they're, overhyped and underskilled. I mean, sometimes you get the fun stories coming off the Contender Series, and sometimes you get guys who, get knocked out twice and they're right back out of the UFC. So
100%.
you get a mix of everything.
All right. Well, that was Claudio Ribeiro versus Abdul Alhassan. Which I'm sorry I messed up that name too when I was introducing him, but now we got it right. So thanks for saying it the right way.
I'm not sure I'm right. Mine is a guess too. So we'll see if I got that right.
We'll wait till whoever's announcing. I hope
somebody
DC,
in the comments can correct me.
Right. Please do. Also, drop comments. Tell us what you think on these picks.
Right. Tell us if you agree. Tell us if you think we're stupid fucking idiots. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, tell us. We want to hear from you too. All right. Our next fight that we're going to break down, the widest line on the card, which I know I've already seen some people are like, oh, that's a disrespect to Barcelos, but you can't. If I was a Vegas bookie, I would make the line where it's at too, because it's pretty certain.
I mean, they made it way smaller. It's gotten steamed by the public.
So let's get into it. So we got Umar Nurmagomedov, who is coming in at a perfect 15-0. So he's coming to defend his perfect record. And he is going to be fighting Raoni Barcelos, who's coming in at 17-3. Nurmagomedov has a wide favorite at -1,000. So Andrew, go ahead. Tell us how you think this one's gonna play out.
So this actually opened Nurmagomedov -200. I don't think the public ever really got a shot at that line, but if you looked a while ago, you could get Nurmagomedov around -300, -350, and it's been steamed all the way down to -1,000. There's no meat on the bone there. Like, yeah, does Nurmagomedov probably win the fight? I think yes. Am I straight betting him at 1,000? Of course not. Am I even putting him in parlays at -1,000? I'm not.
Unless, wait. On that note, though, if you are thinking of something good, take your NFL bets. Whoever you're betting for NFL, just sprinkle them in there as some type of booster for you.
See, I think at -1,000, it's not even worth it as a booster, because I think the line should be closer to -300, something like that, -350, even maybe -400. I would think about it, but where it's at, the little bit of boost value that it's going to add for the chance that Nurmagomedov actually loses this fight, and so let's get into the breakdown. I just don't think there's any value there. I think number one with Nurmagomedov, I think especially at this point, you pay a little kind of tax on the name. There are certain guys' names that you're just going to pay a little bit more betting on them because of the name they have, and I think he's one of those guys. That being said, I think he's super legit. I think he's a future top 5 guy, if not title contender eventually. He's obviously an incredible wrestler. He uses his kicks, especially even more so than his hands, to set up his takedowns and chains his wrestling together really, really well. That being said, this is a big step up in competition for him compared to the guys he's fought in the UFC so far. So do I think he has the goods? Yes, I absolutely do. But have we seen it before against this level of competition? We haven't. Also, I think another big factor in this fight, Barcelos has incredible takedown defense. Statistically, he has 93% takedown defense. That's really, 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 really good. He also has really good wrestling. He's a Brazilian national champion multiple times in wrestling. And when it comes to the hands striking, especially, I think Barcelos actually has the advantage. And so what this is really going to come down to is I actually think that if this stays on the feet, this is close to a 50-50 fight if it stays on the feet. Do I think he's going to stay on the feet? Probably not. I think Nurmagomedov probably gets the takedowns enough to, I don't think he's going to finish it. I think he probably wins by decision. But even that bet to win by decision is around -200. So I don't love that either. I'm probably staying completely away from this fight from a gambling perspective. If anything that I'm going to do with this fight, I might sprinkle a tiny bit on Barcelos money line. Like +700 is crazy for a guy who, if he can successfully stuff the takedowns over and over, I think it becomes a 50-50 fight at that point. And I think Barcelos has a good shot. And if you have a 50-50 fight, you want to be holding the ticket of the guy that's around +700. I don't think I'm going to do that because I do think this is going to be wrestling heavy. Nurmagomedov backpacks him, holds him on the ground, wins the decision kind of fight. That's what I see as the most likely scenario. But yeah, I'm going Barcelos money line or pass on this one.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you on that one. It should also be noted that Barcelos also, one of his wins has come from a Nurmagomedov. He beat Said Nurmagomedov by unanimous decision. So maybe he has their Nurmagomedovs figured out. And again, with that right story, right, with that would say, hey, at plus 650, he's already beaten Nurmagomedov. Let's say he doesn't take down another one. But no, I think that I think the name is getting the odds where it's at. I think it's definitely, like you said, our advice to gamblers out there would be to, stay away from that money line. And like you said, even the finishes are really, really high odds too. So that's not even going to really
Yeah,
get you
and I
much.
mean there's a possibility Nurmagomedov gets the sub, but those odds aren't that high. The decision number is -200. Like there's just nothing I love in this fight.
Yeah. And with that being said, then you look at it and say, all right, I think you watch it as a fan, and if you're a degenerate gambler like us, put it
Sprinkle a
on.
tiny bit on the huge underdog who has a
Why
better than
not?
his odds chance. I mean,
Why not? Right? Why
so
not?
the implied odds where they are say that Nurmagomedov has a 91% chance of winning this fight. Not so to me. Do I think he wins? Yes. Do I think he wins more than 9 out of 10 times? No, I don't. And so I think, I think there's, like you said, if you're a degenerate gambler and you want to sprinkle a little on the guy plus 675, who probably has more like a plus 250, plus 300 chance of winning the fight, go for it. Don't bet too much, sprinkle it.
Yeah,
but
don't put the rent on it, but put something on it. You never know. It's like when you buy a scratch off, or if you play Keno, right? You're getting the same odds here.
well, remember when and there's always crazy things that can happen, and that's why it's good to be on the huge
an
plus money
injury.
side.
Hey,
Like
Jackson,
or a
the Mike Jackson,
disqualification.
yeah,
That's
Mike
where I was
Jackson,
going.
right?
When
Yeah,
Mike Jackson beat Dean Barry, and he was around plus 1200, and I think we both cashed that ticket.
an illegal knee, an eye
Right.
poke, a
Yep.
groin shot.
Any of that stuff.
We've been on the other end of some real losers. So why not accidentally win at plus 650? Why not? Why not? It could happen. It's the UFC. Anything can happen. All right. That was Umar Nurmagomedov versus Raoni Barcelos. The final two fights we're going to talk about. This one I'm always excited about because I always love watching this guy come in the ring. Although Damon, you still owe us an interview, and I'm still upset about it, but it's okay. I know one day you will jump on a call with us because we're still fans of you, buddy. This fight is Dan Ige coming in at 15-6, fighting Damon the Leech Jackson, who's coming in at 22-4. And wait, did he change his name last fight to Action Jackson for his brother? Is that, or wasn't that?
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
His brother died? Is that, or cousin died?
Somebody in his family, I believe. Yeah.
And he switched it to
super
Action
emotional.
Jackson. Either way, Damon Jackson, impressive man. Damon, we're still fans, buddy. Tight line here. Dan Ige coming in at minus 120 as the slight favorite, and Damon is sitting at plus 100 as the slight underdog. This is a featherweight match and is the co-main event. Andrew, how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, this to me is definitely strength-wise striker versus grappler. Ige being the better boxer and kickboxer, and Damon Jackson being the far better grappler. That being said, I think both guys are underrated in the opposite skill set. I think that Ige is a better wrestler and grappler than he gets credit for. And even though Damon's striking isn't amazing or phenomenal, I think it's underrated, especially in the way that he uses his striking to set up his takedowns. And obviously we saw him get what was it, like a front kick knockout finish against Pat Sabatini in his last fight.
In the first round too.
Yeah, that one was over quick. Ige has the higher level of experience. I mean, he's on a little bit of a rough streak, but if you look at the names on there, it's the Korean Zombie. I'm blanking on the other one.
Calvin Kattar.
Up in front of me. Calvin Kattar. Yeah.
Evelev,
Evelev. Yeah. Josh Emmett. These are some killers that he's lost to, and he's got the quick knockout of Gavin Tucker sandwich in between that. Before that, winning a couple split decisions against Edson Barbosa and Bektic. I mean, the guy's been fighting high-level competition for a while now, hanging in. Damon Jackson is on the rise. He's on a good, solid winning streak. Pat Sabatini is a big win. The guys before that, not necessarily the biggest names, and so that's got to give you a little bit of pause. Daniel Argueta, who's actually on this same card, lower on the card, got Kamala Kirk, Charles Rosa, and obviously the fight against Sabatini. That's a great win. That's I feel like I'm discrediting fighters when I talk about, not showing on a lot when you knock a guy out in the first minute or two, but it's true. You're getting a quick win, and that's impressive, and it's great, and it's exciting, and it's part of why we watch MMA, is to see those exciting knockouts in the first minute or two. Um, I kind of think, had they wrestled for 15 minutes, that Sabatini might have won that fight. Um, I have two bets on Danny Ige already in this fight. I bet his money line right when it, um, not right when it first dropped, because I didn't start looking for stuff until a little after the holidays. So I got Ige's money line at -115, and I bet that. And then I was looking at props that had dropped, and this one I really like for where we're at right now. It's Ige to win by KO, TKO, or decision. Either one cashes. So the only way the bet doesn't cash is if Ige somehow wins by submission, which I think is very unlikely, or obviously if Damon Jackson wins the fight, which there's a very good chance. This is aligned close to a pick'em for a reason. I think there's a solid chance that Damon works the wrestling and grappling and either finds a submission finish, or finds a way to win two, if not all 3 rounds, by being on top and staying on top. But I think Ige's higher level of competition. I'm not sure that I really buy Jackson yet at this level, even with the win streak that he's had. I see Ige being able to get back up on his feet if he does get taken down. I see him being able to stuff a lot of takedowns, and I see most likely Ige by decision. But I really love the bet Ige by KO, TKO, or decision. That's +105, so you get small plus money on that. But that's my favorite bet for this fight.
Yeah. I think you're on with the Ige. The problem is I am just so in on Damon Jackson, and I think that if this thing goes to the ground, I think Ige's wrestling is going to get him into it, but I think the jiu-jitsu side of things is going to allow Jackson to work some submissions. Now, this is what I could also see. I could see Jackson just being on his back, trying to throw submissions, and Ige getting out of it, and I could see Ige getting the control time and going that way too. But I love the dog side of this. You know me, I'm always going to take the plus money. So I'm going to be rocking with Damon Jackson. This fight, though, this is really what it is. We talk about stories. We have Dan Ige, who needs a win. He
does.
He needs a win against
1-4 in his last 5.
Against Damon Jackson, who wants to prove a point. So what better matchup than two guys fighting out of desperation? Because both guys have a lot to lose here, right? Because Damon Jackson, he loses, that brings him back down on this big, rise that he's been on. It takes him back down a little bit to where he was just at. Dan Ige, he's on the verge of, we see this all the time with these good fighters. This could be a cut fight. And so talk about desperation, and you love when desperation happens because you're going to get a great fight. So
Yeah,
I definitely
I
think a finish. I definitely think a finish here. But I could also see both these guys going the distance. They're both great fighters with good hearts, and they're going to leave it all out on the cage. So, but I'm going to rock with Damon Jackson in this one.
Yeah, and with everything you said too, the winner of this fight probably ends up ranked in the top 15. The loser, like if it's Ige, he's 1-5 then, in his last 6 fights, and yeah, maybe you're looking at PFL or Bellator at that point. And for Jackson, I don't think he's getting cut if he loses the fight, but it definitely
it's going to bring him back down.
Shuts down the hot streak and brings him down back to earth.
All right. Yeah. All righty.
We're running short on time, so let's breeze through this main event.
All right. Which is going to be difficult because it's such a good one. We have Sean Strickland coming in to replace Kevin Gastelum. He's coming in at 25-5 versus Nasruddin Imavov, who's coming in at 12-3. Imavov is the -125 favorite, and Strickland is the +105 underdog. How do you see this one breaking down your
Yeah,
your
so
1 minute breakdown.
since we have limited time, I'm going to be real fast on this one, but I don't think I'm going to leave out much of what I would have said anyway. So when it comes to wrestling, I see this actually pretty even on both sides. Striking, Strickland's jab is incredible. Um, Strickland is definitely going to be the higher volume guy. Seems like Imavov definitely carries a little bit more power, probably has more of a chance to finish the fight, but also has cardio issues and can gas out at times, especially in later rounds. What I'm seeing is a Strickland win. I've bet Strickland on the money line. I got it at plus 100 shortly after it dropped. So I like having the even money there. And I see this being most likely Strickland winning purely on volume. I think this is going to go late. I think there's a possibility Strickland finishes it maybe in the 4th or 5th round, maybe even the 3rd round if Imavov starts to get super tired. But I see it most likely going the full 5 rounds. Strickland winning 3 or 4 of those on volume and taking the fight.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm leaning towards Strickland here. I think, he fought a great fight against Cannonier. He proved that he's
I
tough.
think he won the fight
Yeah,
against Cannonier. I
that
think he
was
got robbed.
that was a big fight. Mavov is a great fighter too. You can tell that's why the line is where it's at. But yeah, I'm seeing I think Strickland came off a quick loss against Pereira, which everyone was shocked. I mean, not really though. Pereira has that type of power, but you didn't.
Terrible game plan to
Yeah,
try to kickbox with like the best kickboxer in the world. Why not wrestle? That was
yeah,
so dumb.
yeah.
Anyway,
Not good. But he came back and fought a great fight against Cannonier and got robbed. I see this man as who's already angry. I see him being angrier, and I see him trying to come back and prove a point of why he is one of the top names in the UFC. So I see Strickland putting a stamp on this one. And again, you gotta love when it's plus money. You gotta love when that happens. So I'm going Sean Strickland all the way on this one.
yeah, I like it. And it's an interesting storyline. I mean, they're fighting at 205, not 185, because he's headlining his second event in a row. Him and Cannonier was the last UFC card, so he's the first guy since Tito Ortiz to do that.
Yeah,
So that's fun.
he's primed up and ready to go.
Real quick knockout bets. I got Punahele Soriano for this weekend as my knockout bet.
Awesome. And my knockout bet is going to be, I had it already. Where was it? Oh, Ribeiro. I'm going with Ribeiro. Knockout bet.
All right.
Loving it.
So a lottery ticket. This
Wow.
is an awesome lottery ticket. I'm not sure what the odds are going to add up to, but Priscilla Cachoeira plus 210. And then all you have to parlay that with to get some really, really nice odds is Tony Barcelos at plus 675. But you could also throw in there, like, I mean, if you want to go for real lottery ticket, Jimmy Flick by submission, not just the money line, is an underdog bet that I'd at least put an eye on. It's not something I've bet yet. And then some of these closely lined fights too. I mean, if you want to throw Ige or Alhassan in with some of those big underdogs, that'll get your odds higher too.
Yeah, mine is going to be Kashera, Jackson, and Strickland. The 3-dog parlay. I love it. I feel really confident in those 3.
Follow us on Bet MMA Tips.
Yeah, and check out the rest of our picks on Twitter at recliner_report. Make sure you also see our Bet MMA. If you're looking into gambling, get in on BetUS. We also dropped our new merch.
That link is on our Twitter. That link is on our Twitter too for the merch.
We got some new merch. All proceeds for the month of January going towards the Alzheimer's Foundation. Thank you as always for tuning in. We can't wait to continue the year with you. We're coming up on our 1-year mark here in like 2 months, so we're super pumped. And as always,
keep the change.